Deebo Samuel requested a trade over the weekend, and I believe the Miami Dolphins will show some interest. So let me know your thoughts on it before we talk about the player and the potential fit. Should the Dolphins trade for Deebo Samuel? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. And on today's episode, we are going to explore if the Dolphins should look after a Deebo Samuel trade, because he did request a trade from the San Francisco 49ers over the weekend. And I do think Miami is going to be someone linked to Deebo, considering Mike McDaniel and Deebo Samuel's relationship from San Francisco. But here is the initial breaking news kind of thing from Adam Schefter, that the 49ers have granted Samuel and his agent permission to find a trade partner for the wide receiver. This comes after Samuel asked San Francisco to trade him during the players' exit meetings after the season. And I wanted to share what Deebo Samuel actually said publicly as well, because he released a statement on his trade request, someone who has been a mainstay in the 49ers organization for 5+ seasons. Deebo said that it was a hard conversation to have with head coach Kyle Shanahan because of the relationship that we have, but I have to do what's best. I'm more than thankful for the 49ers for giving me an opportunity of a lifetime, but now I think it's best that we find another team. And I truly believe that this is one of those things that it will happen. Deebo will be on the move this offseason, because you could actually take it back almost a full year to right around the 2024 NFL draft. There were a lot of rumors that Samuel could have been traded on day 2 of the NFL draft. The New England Patriots, for example, allegedly held conversations about almost swapping a second or third round pick with San Francisco on that Friday night. So this has been something that the 49ers front office has thought about for the past maybe year or so. And now that Deebo has requested a trade, that because he's up for an extension and for a new contract, that is something that I think will happen. And speaking of that Deebo contract, like I mentioned, he is up for an extension. He's only got one more guaranteed season on his deal. That's this season. And then he'll be 30 years old next year and an unrestricted free agent, but he's looking to get in on a contract before he hits free agency. But there is an intriguing prospect here about potentially getting Deebo in a trade. You only have to take his base salary plus some roster bonuses. That's only $1.9 million. His base salary for this upcoming season is $1.1 million. So it only comes out to about $2 million that you're taking on this upcoming season, because in the past, the 49ers restructured his contract to give him so many void years and space it out and make the cap hit in different areas further down the line. But obviously, if you did trade for Deebo Samuel, you know that you likely have to extend his contract, because there is a chance, even if he got dealt, he would hold out waiting to get a new deal. This is a player that has gotten a lot of stress, a lot of carries, a lot of receptions in his career, and as he gets to age 30, probably wouldn't play out another season without a guaranteed contract waiting for him, or one that he has. So if you trade for Deebo, you know that you have to extend him right away, or you are getting someone that is going to be unhappy or potentially even sitting out. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we are going to cover the Miami Dolphins on a daily basis, trade rumors, more. If something comes across the Miami Dolphins timeline about something going down, we'll have you covered. Hit that sub button and join us today. Some of you might ask, why are the Dolphins a team that may be linked to Deebo Samuel? I think Miami is going to be interested in Deebo Samuel in a potential trade due to the connection that head coach Mike McDaniel has with Samuel. Deebo's had a very up and down career in San Francisco, but he was looked at one of the best weapons in all of football back in the 2021 NFL season. That was the last year that head coach Mike McDaniel was with San Francisco. You look at his numbers from that season, it was just flat out ridiculous. 1,400 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. But he also added in 8 touchdowns on the ground as a rusher with 365 yards. His success rate on each individual end was phenomenal at above 50%. He was one of the most up-and-coming players in the NFL, and he was used in a variety of ways. Straight-up handoffs, end-arounds, slants, screens, pop passes. He was elite in 2021. But it is not 2021 anymore. And you have to talk about the player that Deebo Samuel is right now. And in the 2024 season, you could argue that it's his worst year since his rookie season because he averaged a career low in yards per game, only had one receiving touchdown, third lowest in his career in terms of yards per catch. And when he was being used as a running back, helping out with Christian McCaffrey being out, Isaac Guerrero being hurt, Jordan Mason being hurt, his yards per carry was at his lowest, and his overall receptions was his second lowest. We are talking about a player that has been unbelievable in his career. One of the most dynamic players in all of football because he gets used in such a variety of ways, which would work perfectly in Miami, knowing what Mike McDaniel likes to do. You've seen it with Devon Achane. You've seen it with Jonnu Smith. You've seen it with Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington last year. But you have to look at what Deebo Samuel is right now, and based off what we saw this past season, it was just a bad year overall for everyone in San Francisco, but he might be washed. And I have more numbers to kind of promote that here in just a second. But we are sponsored by Mando, my favorite whole-body deodorant, because I like to be the best-smelling person in the room every single day, and boy, does Mando help that. The whole-body deodorant gives me confidence when I leave the house, and especially when I'm going on dates this time of year. Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body. It's created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. And I have one of those products in studio with me today. It's my favorite, and if you've seen our shows, you know why I love this. The deodorant wipes are so perfect on the go, whether you're traveling, whether you're just running errands. Listen, I like to golf, I like to play basketball, but sometimes I got to get things done after I do those activities. Deodorant wipes make sure I'm still smelling good when I go have to run those errands after the fact. So get a special offer that we have for our listeners. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right, let's get back to the conversation of Deebo Samuel because I just simply don't think he's that guy anymore. We saw how good he was in 2021, and when he's at his best, his legs are the freshest, he's healthy, he can be dominant. But to be fair, like Deebo has been used a lot, so there's a lot of mileage on his body, and he might also have added some weight too if you've seen some photos publicly. But when you look at him as a pure wide receiver, we know that he could bring some added production to the running game. But just purely as a wide receiver, he just isn't that anymore, man. When you look at his route wins from last year, he was 49th in all of football. Now, his route win rate was much better, 24th in the NFL at 48%, but he is not a separator against man or press coverage. He just gets jammed up and can't beat these corners anymore. 79th in all of football this year. And then his EPA, when getting used, 130th in football. Expected points added advanced metric there, and you see his QB rating per target too, 49th in football. So he's just mid at this point in his career. This is not a plus guy that you're getting that is going to make you very, very excited anymore. But when you talk about a potential role in Miami, this is where I think it could actually work a little bit. Now, I want to play devil's advocate. I showed you why I think he might be a little bit washed here, but I do think he could be re-energized in the Dolphins organization because if you make this trade, I truly believe that you would still hold on to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, so a trio of Waddle, Deebo, and Hill is very intriguing. And you're not going to trust him to separate on the outside like San Francisco did it sometimes. You would most likely use him as the gadget player that he was the best at in 2021 and use him as your basic slot wide receiver. And he's not a normal slot receiver. I mentioned he's a little bigger in size, so he's not someone that is going to get bossed around by nickel corners. Like, he might be able to beat you physically on there. But the part that Deebo Samuel that is the most intriguing to me is that he's actually a very solid and willing run blocker, something that the San Francisco offense is heavily be predicated on. But I would also say the same thing for the Miami Dolphins offensive scheme. Mike McDaniel obviously comes from that Shanahan tree, and they run a similar type of zone scheme offense to where you need your wide receivers to block on the outside because you do have so many outside runs. And we watched how often they do run to the boundary with halfback tosses. So Deebo could be a massive factor in that game, but he also could carry the ball as well. So I do think if there is a team where Deebo could get back to his top tier kind of self that he was in 2021, 2020, 2022, his prime, if you will, it would be back with Mike McDaniel in Miami. And I also am interested slightly because the trade cost is not going to be that high. Due to Deebo being 30, signs of decline, an injury history, as well as wanting a new contract, the 49ers are not going to get a massive return for Deebo Samuel. Talking with 49ers report host Chase Sr., he believes at very, very best the 49ers could get a third-round pick for Deebo. I don't think they're going to get that. I think it's going to be an early day 3 pick for Samuel. And it might even just be a pick swap. It could be the Dolphins trade a third-round pick to get Deebo, but Miami also gets a 4th-round pick back. So they just drop back 50, 60 spots in the draft and get Deebo Samuel. But in a straight-up one-for-one trade, I would project Miami potentially offering a 2025 4th-round pick. They are going to have 2 of them. One that's a comp pick, one that is their own, the comp pick coming from the loss of Christian Wilkins. So it's at the end of the 4th round. I'd be willing to offer that, about 134, 138 in range in total of the picks in the draft. Let me know your thoughts. Would you accept this trade? The 4th round comp pick Miami is likely to receive for Christian Wilkins, type A for accept, type D for decline. Would you flip it for Deebo Samuel? I was very up and down in this video. I said that I think he could really fit Miami, and I think he would be very cheap to acquire, but I also think he's washed. And I'm ultimately going to decline this trade. Now, you might want to accept. That's fine by you. That's what you want to do. But I'm going to tell you why I'm going to decline. I think he's a great fit in Miami, but I don't want to extend him. Like I mentioned, he's 30 years old. He is someone that has a lot of tread on his tires. This is not a young 29, a young 30-year-old. And that is something different here. Like, for example, Todd Gurley, and big-time running back. He had so much wear and tear on him by the age 27. He was basically cooked and out of the league. So you can't just look at age when it comes to these type of players at wide receiver, running back. You have to look at how much they were used in their youth. And with Deebo Samuel getting so many carries, so many receptions, so many bruises and battered type of games and injuries, that his 29, 30-year-old, for the way he plays and the way he is used, is more like 33, 34. So I'm not giving him a 3-year extension where he'll probably want 13, 14, 15 baseline per season. And with Miami's needs at offensive line, safety, defensive line, I don't think it would be smart to invest future money for Deebo. Now, you can make the argument to make that trade to have Samuel for just one season, but would Deebo be okay playing out 1 year and then hitting unrestricted free agency? Probably not. He would want to have a contract in kind of writing when he gets traded. So to me, because of the contract needs of Deebo, I'm out. Not going to do it, even though I think it would be pretty fun to have Samuel as your 3rd wide receiver. But if that changes and the Dolphins ultimately are interested in Deebo or make a trade of any sorts during this offseason, we will have you covered. So make sure you hit that sub button because we're dropping videos daily here at the channel.